Well, we all know that some rookie defensive players are on the horizon. But which ones are kind of ones off the radar? Let's go over my top five defensive rookies sleepers to watch. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Antonio, and welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast, where I go over everything NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL, and along with some other sport brands, depending on which ones catch my attention. Today, we are going over my top five defensive rookie sleepers to watch out for come 2024. Now, I wanted to make this topic because we were only weeks away from the NFL season, so I wanted to make this video because we all know that some rookies are going to be really good and some are not going to be really decent. But I'm going over my five sleepers. But before that, we're going to do some honorable mentions. Before we get started, I want to mention two things. I am trying to aim for five. I'm trying to aim for 375 subscribers before the beginning of the NFL season next year. If we can hit that margin on September 5th, that would be amazing. If we can hit that margin. But if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. For now, let's get this video started. Now, first, I got three honorable mentions that I would like to throw out there. So, first up is Saints safety that was drafted from Alabama, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid McKinstry was one of the key pieces to Alabama last year. He was one of the top safeties in their core, and his teammate Terrion Arnold ended up going to the Detroit Lions. Now, Kool-Aid McKinstry is an amazing cover. I was able to watch him during some time in when he was in Alabama. He is really good, and if you can give him that aid that he needs and give him that time to develop, he could rise into a star player for the Saints. Next up is my one of my team's players. Now I'm going to have at least two. One is in the top five. The one I have on here is Tyrese Knight. Tyrese Knight, or however you pronounce it. But Tyrese Knight is a linebacker from UTEP, Texas El Paso. Now, I was questioning this at first because there was another guy that I wanted on this list that I'm going to mention later. But when I saw this dude's highlights, he can do really good tackles. He can wrap up people, which is what we need from the Seattle Seahawks. You need to be able to finish those tackles, which is what Tyrese Knight is really good at, according to his rookie career in Texas El Paso. But this Tyrese Knight guy has a chance to be a sleeper. And then lastly is Dallas Turner. Now, I know he might not be a sleeper to some people, but to me, he is because the Vikings are a sleeper team this year because you put him along with the offensive weapons they have in there already. You add Dallas Turner with Jonathan Grenard and loads of other pieces on that defense. You have got a dangerous force rising in Minnesota, if I'm being for real honest. But that's my honorable mentions. Let's jump in to the top five. So, first up at number five, this guy comes out of the University of Colorado State. He caught my attention when he was going against Colorado against primetime Deion Sanders. I put this guy in here because he gives me a really good vibe around lots of players. He can make plays, he can cause a lot of havoc. It is Muhammad Kamara. Now I don't know if he has any referencation to any comparison to Alvin Kamara as far as siblings. I don't know if they have a DNA comparison. But anyways, Muhammad Kamara, I believe, has a chance to be a really good sleeper. And I'm going to go over some stats here I looked up on him. I got these stats according to Sports Slash reference.com. So, according to this, in his last year he had with the Colorado State Rams, he had a total of 56 tackles, TOT. He had a total of 17 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, no interceptions. He had two forced fumbles. One of them he recovered himself. And in total of his career up in Colorado State, he has had a total of 179 tackles, TOT, and also 45.5 tackles for loss, 30.5 sacks. He had a total of five forced fumbles, three of them he recovered. Now, Muhammad Kamara might not be eye popping at first, but Muhammad Kamara, he is a really good player. He is big, he is massive, and he is a really just a big weapon. He is 6'3", which is really tall for a man. And but this guy is going to be a rising star in Miami, which that's why I have Muhammad Kamara coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, this guy gives me vibes of Bobby Wagner when he was in his prime. He gives me those type of vibes. And I believe he's a rising star in the NFL coming into his rookie year with the Eagles. I got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Now, let me explain why. I looked up his stats here according to ClemsonTigers.com when he was in Clemson. So I'm going to go over last season's stats. So he had 88 total touchdowns. He had 54 he did himself solo, 34 tackles that were assisted, 15 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, two forced fumbles. He had two interceptions, with one of them he returned for a touchdown. But yeah, Jeremiah Trotter, I've seen this guy play. I've watched his highlights. He reminds me so much of Bobby Wagner. He gives me those vibes that Bobby Wagner was able to do. Jeremiah Trotter, I think, is going to be really good, especially when you put him in a defense that is already stacked enough as it is. And they're more all in than the Cowboys that are their division rivals, by the way. But anyway, sorry, Cowboy fans. I just had to say something. But anyways, Jeremiah Trotter, I believe, has a chance to be a really good player in the National Football League. So that is why I have Jeremiah Trotter coming in at number 4. At number 3, this guy was both an offensive player and a defensive player. He was a safety during his time on defense and a running back during his time on offense. I don't know exactly which position he's going to play exactly, but I believe he's going to play a safety role. So this guy is Sione Vake. Now, let me explain. I looked up his stats according to UtahUtes.com, which was the university that he had played with. In total of his career, his defensive statistics. Let me go. Let me find it here. Here it is. So he had a total of 92 total tackles, 21 assists, 71 that he did himself. He had 26 tackles per game in his career, and he had sacks that were like 2 to 17 yards, an interception. He had a forced fumble. But I mean, those numbers are not eye popping at first. But when you watch him on the field during his time at Utah, he is really good. He's really good in coverage. He can really do good things, and he's a member of the Detroit Lions that they need help in the secondary piece. And if Sione Vake can get into his defensive side and really break out this year, this guy could be a rising sleeper in the league. But that's why I have Sione Vake at number 3. At number 2, I put this guy in here because He is a member of the two-time national champion, which was the Georgia Bulldogs. I put in Tyke Smith. Now, Tyke Smith, I wanted to go over this guy because I do believe he is going to be a really good star for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let me go over some stats here. So, last season he had total solo tackles of 46 solo tackles. 25 of them was assisted tackles. He had a total of 71 tackles, 2 sacks, and a loss of 15 in both of them. He had 4 interceptions. None of them he returned for a touchdown. He returned each of the touchdowns for each of the interceptions for 20 yards total. He had a total. He had no forced fumbles, no fumble recoveries. But this guy, Tyke Smith, I have had full faith in during his time up in Georgia because I am a Georgia Bulldog fan myself. Because this guy, he looks amazing. And I think the Buccaneers really got a good piece right there with them. And I believe if Tyke Smith has the time to develop, he could rise into one of the top corners in the league. That's why I have Tyke Smith at number 2. And then number 1, the top defensive sleeper in the NFL happens to be from my team because I said earlier in the video when I was going over to Rice Knight in the honorable mentions that there were going to be 2 in this video. So, without further ado, number 1 is a guy out of Texas that I have full on faith in and was in the center of the thumbnail in the process of making the video. Byron Murphy II. Byron Murphy, this guy is so massive. He is huge. And I looked up some stats according to his defensive play time at the University of Texas last year. According to this, he had a total of 13 solo tackles, 16 of them he had assisted, total of 29 tackles this season. He had 5 sacks that led to 32 yards lost. He had no interceptions, but also not a lot of people knew this, but he actually scored 2 touchdowns, not on defense, but on offense. According to his scoring statistics, he had 1 receiving touchdown that he made during his appearance in the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma State. And then he had a rushing touchdown. I don't know exactly when that happened, but he's good. This guy can do everything. And I mean, Byron Murphy on the defensive side. You thought Leonard Williams and Uchenna Nwosu were bad enough on this were good enough on this defense. Can you imagine playing the Seahawks with those 3 big guys in the front 7? I am telling y'all, this guy, Byron Murphy, you pair him up with an already dangerous defense that is going to get even more dangerous under the calling of Mike Macdonald. You got Leonard Williams. You already got guys in there like Leonard Williams. You got Uchenna Nwosu that was out halfway through the season. One of the reasons that they went after Leonard Williams at the trade deadline. And they also ended up getting guys like Boye Mafe, who was a breakout star this past season, Darrell Taylor, and also along with Jaron Reed. This this front 7, I'm just saying it right now. This front 7 is going to be dangerous next year because they got the capability to be a really good defense. Mike Macdonald is going to change this team around, and maybe sooner rather than later, this team could rise into a top team. I'm not saying that it will. I'm not saying that the Seahawks are going to get up there because it's going to take a few years for it to happen. But the Seahawks, they're rising from the ground up. That's why I have Byron Murphy coming in at number 1. But to recap the list, I have Byron Murphy at number 1, Tyke Smith at number 2, Sione Vake at number 3, Jeremiah Trotter at number 4, and Muhammad Kamara coming in at number 5. But let me know in the comments what you guys think down in the comment section below. What defensive pick do you guys think is going to be the top sleeper pick in the NFL this upcoming season? Let me know down in the comment section below and why you think that that player is going to be a sleeper. But I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, please make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. But I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.